if things could go back to what they used to be, trying to like hold on to what it is. And when they have problems in their lives, they kind of like, can I just fix this so I could stay here because that's what I'm comfortable with? And they don't realize that every single challenge is a call, is a pull, is inspiration on the other side saying you're greater, you're bigger, you got potential, you don't even know who you are. And that's what abundance does. Abundance is kicking us in the ass all the time. Move. This is not your spot. Move.
Listen. All right. The energy here is amazing.
But all that energy as well that you use to make sure that everything's fine. That's why on this podcast is going to be totally different for you. You're going to take your time, and you're gonna pretend right now that somebody else set up all this equipment and they did a flawless job. All right? And then you're gonna take a few breaths, and you're gonna regain that energy, and just feel like you just walked into the room and you sat down, and then you get into that headspace. Yeah.
Do you do meditating?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You saw my pillows back there?
Yeah. It's hard for somebody like me to meditate for the simple fact my brain is just on a billion, and that worries me.
Yeah, no, you don't have nothing to worry about because I'm the same way. Meditation for me is it's not like I could be there like half an hour and meditate the whole time through. There, I've had those experiences where I could, but it's not about shutting down or blanking your brain. It doesn't work like that. It's like that's like telling you stop your heart. That's it.
I just tried.
It's practically impossible. So you're not gonna stop thinking. It's a matter of like observing the thought and going like, wow, that's interesting. And just watching it pass like a cloud. And then giving yourself permission to say these two things very, very clearly. I have nothing to do and nowhere to go. Because that moment you're giving yourself the gift of understanding the voice within. How you showing up to this world. And in that process, you find lots of power. I always end up with something called the love bomb that I learned through Mind Valley. And it's where you get into that state where you tell somebody, I love you. So you put that image in front of you and you feel that love. And now expand on that. Everything in the building is being loved right now with that same energy. Everything in this city is being loved with that energy. Everything in this country, everything in this planet and beyond. And you go and you see that love as a light covering. When you do that, you realize that you connect with other energies because there's other people doing it too. And it's a wonderful feeling to know that you're part of what's keeping that together.
So for so long, I was so caught up in relationships, with women. I don't know why. It must have been a void, but my mom done a great job. She was a single mom. She raised me. She's done a great job raising me. She's done all she can. And I talked about this on a different podcast. She did what she knew, right? It's like a generational mindset, right? It's just trickled down from her family, from her mom and dad and their mom and dad and so on and so on. I have chased women so much that I didn't have no community. My only community was to be with that person and try to grow and create this fantasy in my head of how things should be. And oftentimes when people do that, we get into like toxic relationships and toxic mindsets. And I was like that for a while. So fast forward for the past 4 years, I've been just finding who I am, taking time, being delicate with myself because I've been through a lot of like trauma and stuff like that. And now that I'm around a community of people, I feel inspired. My energy is being aligned to my purpose. I'm being the most creative I've ever been in my life.
That's awesome.
And it's exciting, bro. This is all new to me. And I think, when your frequency aligns with who you are, you run into great people like yourself. And I don't think things happen by coincidence. I think everything happens for a reason. And it's cliche, right? We often hear that. However, I met you about a week ago, and our first conversation, even hearing you speak, you speak and people want to listen. You captivate the hearts and minds of people. And I'm not just saying that to stroke your ego, boost you up. I mean that with sincerity. And I see you, and I told you this earlier, as a gardener, not someone who grows vegetables and fruits, someone who plants seeds in people's minds so they can grow and build an ark for themselves and their family. So first of all, I want to say I want to appreciate you. I definitely want to appreciate you. It's only been a week.
Yeah. And we've had several conversations since then.
Yeah.
Which all of them have been very exciting.
Very, very. Yeah. And I love your thought process, how you think and how you maneuver in this world, because we can get caught up in the lights, camera, and action. And you, at this point, are on the complete opposite. You're about building and making real impact in the world. And I love that, man. I love that. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, that I love showing people love.
Yeah.
I love to bring people up. I love, no matter where you at in life, I just love that person, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm so in like the trenches and, just grinding, that I'm loving this process. Mm-hmm. And that's something I just uploaded onto like Instagram. But usually when I bring people on, I edify them. You wear so many hats, I don't even know where to begin. Mm-hmm. So welcome back to Deafine Podcast. Every week we invite interesting guests and we talk about defining moments and what defines him. So today we got Johnny. I'm your host, Jay. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Oh, absolute privilege. I'm excited.
I'm excited to
since the day you said I'm doing this and I have the defining moments. I was like, I want that. I want to be on. Just your energy and what you're doing and what you're producing. It's amazing to me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm still working and growing and learning, but I can learn from someone like you, because you've been in the podcast game for 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time. I was at the podcast game when podcast was actually a podcast, which Apple created what were pods, and this was streaming. It's just like archive of your radio program, and it's there. So I started then when there was crickets, and there wasn't really. So I've been on and off all the platforms for a while, but I've had the longest run in the last 15 years. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How has that journey been, like doing podcasts? Because you started when it was like, when internet first started, people were saying that it was a fugazi facade, like it's gonna go away. Like people didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Now everyone is doing podcasts.
Yeah. I think that because I've been able to see the evolution of it, I have a deeper appreciation for what it really stands for. So whenever you have somebody telling you how something started and initiated, is because they have spent their life doing it, and they're in love with how far it has come and how far it could go. So it's been that layer of a journey for me, and it's been also a way of just connecting and giving people. I have this thought when I sit down and do a podcast that there's somebody working out and I'm in their ear, or they just woke up and I'm one of the first words they listen to. And I could be encouraging for that day, and I could be moving for that day, or I can inspire them to think something. And being part of that journey is what wires me up. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. I've had some pretty good feedback. I one that comes to mind, which was one of the most impressive one, is this lady out in Puerto Rico. She's listening to my podcast, and she sends me this long email. She says, I couldn't sleep, so I heard your whole archive. I'm still going through some, but I've heard the whole thing, and I never thought that it was possible to think this way. And she was writing to me about some of the issues that I was helping her work through audio podcasts, and it was amazing. I was like, wow, that's why I do it.
Wow. That must be motivating, right?
Yeah.
Even I get people that's like, man, I love your work, man. And for some reason, I cringe when I hear my stuff.
Yeah. No, me too. I still can't hear my voice. I just got interview in another podcast, and I was listening to it. I can't hear myself for too long. I start feeling conscious about my voice. I'm like, I don't know, but the end result. When you have a passion, when you feel like you're called to be part of somebody's journey, it takes a whole different approach, to what you do, and you forget about the mic and the cameras and all that other stuff. It's more about like, can somebody else sit here with us today, and can our story impact them? Can they relate? Because there might be somebody out there right now that is thinking, I've been through a lot and nobody understands me. Maybe the truth is that no one could express their understanding, but you can sit in a room like this and listen to our struggles. And then something in you will relate and go like, oh, okay, they're like me. And that's the beginning process of understanding that internal dialogue and how does it work. And that for me is gold.
Man, I said this off camera. I love hearing you speak. It's captivating, man. And let's talk about your portfolio and everything that you have. Wow. You have a lot going on.
Yeah.
So let me ask this before I ask that question. How is your sanity? How is your mental health now in 2022 when you have all this going on? And did you see the things that you have now manifesting 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
So some of the things that are happening to me in life right now, I could very well say, yeah, that's a dream come true. Like but most of it is over and above what I ever thought and imagined. Most of it, it's more like, oh my God, I didn't realize this is better than what I could think of. And yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. If we go down that rabbit hole, we will end up in understanding manifestation. So let's take it easy.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, so I've done everything from in the production world. I've done everything from live events, like special events, parties and social gatherings for celebrities, and I've been at that spectrum of things. And then I've also been in TV and radio production. And then that's why I ended up in podcasting, and now expanding into video that I told you about, that I want to learn from you doing that. So that's the production part of it. But in business, I've been all over the board. And then another layer to that is the social aspect of a local market. And that's where you and I are meeting, getting into the local market of things and understanding how a community is what makes a business grow, and how that interaction actually could be beneficial for everyone in business. So I spend my days thinking on how I could connect people in order for them to relate and probably make a venture happen, and being a part of that venture with them. So like that, I'm diversify. And then that gives me the bandwidth to do what I'm passionate about, which is coaching, helping people through their mindsets. Yeah.
See, I would have bombed that. All of that, everything, I would have bombed it completely. It's fascinating, man, because for a while, I've been in Ocala for 2 years, about 2 years. And I've been searching and looking, seeing what's going on in the city. And we met at, an event that happens every Wednesday here in Ocala, where entrepreneurs come and they get to share their ideas and their entrepreneur journey, and get people in the community to get involved and build them up. And that's the first time I went to an event like that. I went to seminars and stuff like that. But that was the beginning of our relationship, Pulse, right? And you planted some stuff in my head that I couldn't go to sleep for like 2 days. And I'm like, this guy tricked me.
Well, I mean,
is that something that you do purposely? Do you have conversations with people and build relationships and plant seeds in people so they can expand or think bigger or chase their actual goals?
I think that's, if you say that, if that's my purpose, I don't go in it.
No, do you do it purposely? No. Do you do it purposely?
How do I do this?
Can I?
No. I think it's just, I think it's a normal reaction to finding yourself with my energy, and And I say that because I feel the same way when I bump into your energy. So it's just more like you said before, you use the word frequency. We're both listening to the same music. And when you find somebody that's listening to the same music as you and you have a conversation about it, then you're like, you relate.
Yeah.
And then you could talk about it in different scales. Like if it's just like if you would have watched the movie and I watched the same movie and you had a different perspective on how the plot and you got a different message out of it. And I could appreciate it because we were both into it. So I guess that's what happens. And because I know that this happens, I'm always looking for an opportunity to like give of me. And that's what you receive. You know, I'm always willing to like, if you have a question, let's explore that question. Because all I do is buy questions. You know, as a coach, I don't really think that my job is to fix anything or anyone. My thing is to get in there, and I know that there's something that if you feel that needs to be fixed, all the tools are already in you. Everything's already in you. I just go in there and I go, like, oh, I found it. This is it. Is this it? Is this what fits in there? You know, and you do that through questions and through relationships and through those conversations. Obviously, there's other layers to it, but that's the beginning of it. And just having that initial conversation with somebody, you could take them to another level in minutes, you know,
just by having conversations,
just having that conversation about the initial problem that you're having right now and the internal dialogue that you're having about it, because that's what we call being in your head. And you heard that comment before, but
it's me right now.
Yeah. But being in your head is that you're talking to yourself. You're doubting yourself. You can't see the way out. And that's what a coach does. A coach doesn't actually play the sport. He's looking at he's looking at the athlete and saying, when you took that turn, I saw that your foot didn't go you wasn't completely committed. What's in here? What's happening here? And that's the only thing we do. We ask that question. And if we could get aligned emotionally with the person that we're talking to, that's where it becomes more effective. Because now you could relate and the person lets the guards down and you're able to enter and you go like, let's explore that question. Let's follow it up with another one. And as many layers as you could go, that's how much healing you could also bring. You know, and sometimes I've had conversations with a person that will last an hour and a half and they go like, man, I feel like 10 years have been lifted from me.
Yeah, I felt that way when we had that conversation. I have conversations with a lot of people, but I just felt like there was a connection there. You understood me. And again, we was on the same vibration. Talk about coaching, man. That industry is used by a lot of people, right? Can anyone be a coach? Can anyone get into that industry? Because it seems as though in some places on the internet, it can be saturated, right? Anybody's just looking at a way or avenue where they can make a stream of income. Well, I don't knock it. Hustlers, go get your money, right? But I think just like coaching and motivational speaking and anything that has to do with helping people, it's becoming a thing where anybody wants to do because they see it's lucrative, right? There's money involved. You do it, and the way you speak, you do it with intention. You do it with the intention of pushing people to where they can fix whatever's inside, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think anybody can be a coach?
Well, there's layers to that. I think that the biggest approach and the trend that you see right now is everybody running to get their place, like a land grab, you know, like get their place and say, I'm a coach, because it finally hit them that they have an experience that they could share and they could save somebody the headache of going through something. And that could either be emotionally, like something that, like through a relationship. Hey, I've navigated relationships all my life and I've gotten pretty good at it. Can I teach this? Or it could be something more tangible, like farming, you know, or something more of the lines of building a boat, whatever it is. And in that space, we're calling that coaching. So you could go in there and you could say, you know, we're at the end, we're going to have this result and we're going to have to go through A, B, and C. So that's a coaching. That's and that could be considered coaching. So anybody who has a skill set that they have developed for many years, they could go into that. The thing is that to really be a coach, it's you have to have the mindset aspect of coaching. So going into it in a way that actually makes an impact and people receive results, you have to have another layer to it. And we talked about the truth that sets you free. And in order for you to understand coaching, you have to understand inner dialogue. What's the person feeling about themselves? And sometimes that's expressible. I can ask you, how do you feel about that? So you went through the X, Y, and Z experience last night and you got mad, you got pissed off, and you got all upset. Why? Let's explore that. Why? So what I'm looking for is that internal conversation that you're having with yourself, so I could implant a question. I'm not good at my job if I don't have that integrity with me. You understand? So the truth that sets you free is the honesty you keep with yourself. And it's very simple. If you ever told yourself, I'm going to do something, and you didn't follow through, you just broke confidence with yourself. So the next time you have an idea or a plan, you don't have the force or the backing, the security of that internal confidence that gets built when you say your yes is yes and your no is no. So it's not that you're going to be perfect. It's not that everything you said you were going to do, you do it, and you do it flawlessly. It's about having that honesty with yourself and knowing that you're doing it, that you're keeping the promise to yourself. And when you don't, and you fix it, you say, so if I said I'm going to the gym an hour today and I don't do it, tomorrow I'm going 2 hours. And when you start pushing yourself that way, then your inner confidence start building up, and then you could take care of anything because confidence is there. So being a coach, if you have that internal dialogue right, you can see it in somebody else. And that's what really makes effective coaching, when you can see it in somebody else and you can say, oh man, I know what that looked like. I know that look in your face. I know that tone of voice. And so I did some NLP work and learning all of that in order for me to relate what that really was. So when I see it in somebody else, I can say, oh, I noticed it. I noticed where that's at. Can you tell me? Can you tell me really what that feels like? What's that about? And sometimes we go into conversations where it ends up, a lot of it has to do with maybe something that happened in their past, something with their parents, something with their dad, something with school.
Trauma.
Some kind of trauma. And then there's another layer to that where you can help people reframe that. So every time an idea comes, it doesn't go through that filter, so they're not making the same mistake. You know that. No. Yeah, we have it. We all have it. Like, how come I keep on spinning my wheel on this part of my life? Like, I kept repeating this lesson. It seems like I can never pass it. And it's because there's a filter there that has to do with some kind of belief that has not been challenged. And because it hasn't been challenged, it's stable. It's still the same. And when you get to it and you notice that it could be challenged and it has to be challenged, then you can have some breakthrough and you could confront that. And I do something reframing, which is pretty easy. And it's just like getting you into the state of that first time that it ever happened and changing the picture of it. Let's make that picture into black and white. Let's make those sounds sound really far away. That yelling, let's take away the sound completely. And doing those kind of things really take people to another level.
Wow. That sounds like a therapist.
Yeah. It does. And a lot of it's based on some kind of therapy, but I'm not formal on that. So I try to stay where I know, and then I use these tools as necessary.
So talking about peeling layers, and let's talk about your journey. How has your journey been, right? Because oftentimes we see people like you who's, at this stature, you're doing great for yourself. You're putting out great messages. You're helping people. Has life always been that way?
Oh, man. No.
Get to the meat and potatoes.
Dude, I think we always a work in progress.
Always, bro.
I don't think we all... That's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it exciting, that I could still look at my life and go like, dude, I still have a lot of work to do. I still have a lot to change. And that helps a lot because it takes away the comparison issue. It takes the fact that, you don't have it all together. But yeah, the journey The journey's been crazy. And sometimes it's hard to talk about it, not because there's an emotion connection, it's because you break through so far and so fast that when you look back, sometimes it doesn't even feel like your story. You know, it starts feeling like somebody else's story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Bro, that is so deep what you just said right there. I'm just like, every time you speak, I'm visualizing and I'm painting these pictures that you're speaking about. And do you feel that way? You're so far removed from maybe those traumas, some of those moments that you don't want to relive?
I think that this is what put it in perspective for me. When I started to notice that part of my life where I would think back and I go like, wow, I'm definitely not who I used to be. I'm not who I want to be because I'm always in progress, but I'm not who I used to be. It comes down to like, I'm having a life experience because life is always meant to be transformed. If my life doesn't transform, if I'm living the same life day after day, then I'm really living and existing one life, one pattern. It's like telling somebody, are you going to live the same year 80 times until you pass away? Or do you really want to live life? And living life is taking head on the challenges because those are your opportunities. And when you do that, then you get transformed. And as you get transformed, you're not who you used to be. So you could look back and go like, wow, that's an amazing journey. But if you go far enough, you could be so emotionally detached, not forget the lessons, but not be trapped by the emotions that were created at those moments. And that's what makes people break through. That's why when you see somebody rise as a star, it's not that they didn't have challenge. It's that they removed the emotional process and they go, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to fight this. I'm going to break this wall down. And they find a breakthrough. And when they find a breakthrough, they're so far away from the pain of rejection, the pain of the heartbreak, that they are able to stabilize and that part. If you don't do that, then you're always scaling back. You're always falling back. And that's why you get people that say, remember the days? You know, if things could go back to what they used to be, trying to like hold on to what it is. And when they have problems in their lives, they kind of like, can I just fix this so I could stay here because that's what I'm comfortable with? And they don't realize that every single challenge is a call, is a pull, is inspiration on the other side saying you're greater, you're bigger, you got potential, you don't even know who you are. And that's what abundance does. Abundance is kicking us in the ass all the time. Move. This is not your spot. Move. No, but this is fun here. This is good here. I'm free here. I don't care what anybody says. I don't have to deal with the world. This is me. I'm doing me. And then you stay with enough.
Yeah.
Only enough. So yeah, I've had a journey where it's been rock bottom. If you ever needed in your life assistance,
Right.
to make Thanksgiving happen, you know, if you ever needed government assistance for any reason whatsoever, most people don't walk into that and going like, yeah, I'm gonna get that because that's a benefit that I'm gonna get. No, you needed it because you know that it being self-sufficient, it's a different experience. And it's what everybody strives for because that's what abundance is pushing you to being self-sufficient, to having an ecosystem. And you could do that not only financially, but emotionally, you know?
Yo, what you just said hits so close to home because I have a family member who struggles with anxiety, depression to the core. It's like, and what you're talking about being emotionally attached to the past and trying to relive those moments of comfort and trying to not maneuver and live that abundant life causes like mental discomfort and mental fogginess, and you start to get into your own mind. And somebody that's real close, man, I hope they listen to this because you just hit that right on the head. Right on the head.
It breaks my heart because it's trying to
it's
maintain.
The truth though. It's you put it in words. I never heard it that way. And this is why I think like I having podcasts, having dialogue, speaking about real things is important to especially this day and age, right? Because again, we get so caught up in everything else. But what you're saying is so accurate because I see it. And some people get so caught in that mentality that it's hard for them to get out.
Yeah. And it's a syndrome that, and there's two aspects of it, because the people that are actually making the needle move for their lives, and they could like pinpoint. Then I'm not talking about perfection, because that's another thing that we kind of have a trend going on right now with social media. And they go like, I want that because I could see it, and if I could see it, I could achieve it. I'm from that mindset too. And if you hear my talk, I'm from that mindset. But you got to be very careful how you navigate this, because not only you have like, I want to preserve the feeling of my past. Like, remember the days, back in the days, back in the hood, the things that we used to do, remember that. Let's relive that for a moment, and trying to keep that. You have another extreme of that says someday. Well, someday, when I get the car, when I get the house, when I get the wife, someday. So you're living here, trying to preserve, and you're living there, hoping, but you're not living here where you're at. So you never unwrap your present. You never unwrap your gift, your present, your moment. You're really just like, you're contemplating the present of the past, that gift that you unwrapped, and you're hoping for the present of the future, that gift you're going to unwrap. But the present of now, you don't get to enjoy. And if you don't emotionally navigate that correctly, you could find yourself 5 years and with broken illusions. Because starting is easy. Having an idea is easy. It's maintaining the flow and having the stamina to go through, because you're going to get rejected. It's going to mess up. It's not going to work. You're going to have to pivot. If you don't create for yourself the vision that holds it together, you're always going to be distracted and pulled in any one of these directions. And you can live your life working for somebody else and always hoping for the mansion in the hills, and it never comes. Or you can spend your life trying to preserve your uncomfortableness, and it becomes toxic. As you talked before, the reason why it becomes toxic is because it expired. So you're living in what has expired, and you're trying to preserve what expires. So you find people with like amazing potential, but they still act as in their childhood. And you don't want to put a label on them and go like they're childish or they're toxic. But that's really what happens. We're trying to describe what's happening there, and it's just you haven't moved along. You just reality is trying to kick you in to the game. The manifestation of abundance is trying to come through you, and you're just there. And that's why people just have enough. You get to that place where you just have enough, because that's the divine's way of taking care of you. You're going to have enough.
What is enough? I think that's so subjective, right? Because enough for me could be totally different for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, we could get into the conversation of what success means, because success is, according to the eyes of the beholder, the art, the interpretation. And it really all depends what you're planning to do. Because enough for somebody could be like, hey, I just want love, peace, happiness. Well, join the boat. Everybody wants that, right? I just want to have enough.
Right.
And enough might be, I'll wake up in the morning and I got to eat and I got a roof over my head, and I'm grateful for that. I might elaborate on a job that I like and have a nice social connection. I don't have to go through the dramas. That's great, but you're also missing out on life. But you could live in enough. But my question will come back to you: is enough living in happiness and enough living in joy? Because when I say enough, it's like you're just having enough to survive as you are, to maintain what you have. And if you're happy there, that's fine. but I have a hard time accepting happiness there, because sooner or later you're going to get to the point where you understand that there's no joy, because joy means progress. You're going to be pushed.
I love that. I love that mindset. And sorry to cut you off, but it sounds like, and I get this often, even myself being in this race, wanting more and more and more, because I'm chasing the progress. I'm chasing the evolution of who I am right now and who I could be. And that shit gets tiring, bro.
Yeah.
It gets tiring. But for someone like myself, I love progress. I love to learn. I love to be in atmospheres and in the same presence of people that are moving, right? Like you said, moving forward, making changes, doing impact. And I feel like most of us get caught up in what we have going on. We forget to look at the bigger picture, right? I really believe that everyone has a purpose, right? And we make it about us most of the time when we could be doing something for someone else. We all can. Why do you think that? Why do you think we all always get caught up in what we have going on and forget about the masses? Forget about creating an impact. And that doesn't mean being a motivational speaker. That doesn't mean creating billions of dollars and giving to organizations. But impact can be anything, right?
I don't think that I don't think this part of the collective conversation has opened up, because we don't talk about the fact that we have a life, and just enjoying that for a second and go like, wow, I got to exist as a human. Just taking that in for a second, because I hear so many people go like, well, I'm human, so I might fail because I'm human. Yet you sit at the top of everything that has been created. You have an amazing opportunity to call things that are not like if they are, and make your dreams come true. And we don't sit back on that, because when you sit back on that, then you notice that everything else is man-made. We did this. We have our financial structure, our political structure, our religious structure. And all of that have served to create society as we know it. And I think we should be grateful that that exists. But we sit outside of that. And then the struggle that you talk about is more the chase within those systems, but not an internal understanding of who you are. Because I understand this. I only have one purpose: to be the best that I could be, to be the better version of myself in every scale. Everything else is an assignment. I meet you and we could collaborate on something. Well, this is an assignment. And in that assignment, I'm going to be the best version of myself. That's what's going to show up. I might join somebody else in another venture. That's an assignment. Your family is an assignment. Your brothers, your mom, your parents, your spouse, your kids. Those become assignments. And some of them are a lifetime. Some of them are for a moment. But we don't approach it that way. We have been approaching it from within the system, blinded within the system, and go like, oh, well, it's the money, right? Or is the relationship, or is my spirituality, and you get to choose. And all of it has a value within our experience, but we don't approach it from the outside in. We're inside of it. And that's what happens. And that's what happens if you could take a step back and go like, who am I really? And come to terms with that and understanding. I call it I call it regaining your capacities, or reestablishing your capacities. And then you get to tap into abundance. Then you know that abundance comes to me because it's supposed to come through me. And it comes through me by me being the best version of myself. So it changes the game upside down completely. Because then when you enter into the finance world, you affect it. And when you enter into a religious world, you could affect it. You could affect it for the better. You come in and you are a solution, not part of the problem. And those are the people that stand out. And those are the companies that grow. And those are the people that are actually making an impact because they got there. You know, they had to be to themselves in order for them to affect.
Wow. You have a broad perspective. Did you, I mean, that's cliche to even ask that question. Did you always have that perspective? No, there's a lot of experiences that you may have that led to where you are today, right?
I suffered for a very long time with identity issues of who I am.
What?
Because my backstory is that I'm adopted, you know. So my mom passed away when I'm 2 years old. By divine grace, I end up in a wonderful home, loving home, but within a very highly religious community. So all the time I'm trying to figure out, I got these boundaries that don't let me grow within the system. What would have happened if mom was still alive? So when you go there, those are the darker places of our emotional structure. When you say I go dark or I went deep or I don't feel good or I'm depressed, it's because your brain is going to those places. Going, what about the possibilities of this being better if there was something out of my control that had not changed? And because you cannot fix it, you go deep into it. And you go like, I suck. I'm not good enough. And everything around me validates that because I'm trapped. So when you get there, you have to make one or two decisions. Or you go as deep as you can and you lose yourself, or you break through and you find a new possibility. And new possibility was the one for me. And it breaks my heart when I can't get somebody there. Because they're all into their head and they feel like I have no other choice. Like I don't have no other way out. Like this is who I am. And if they only could find out that the reason why those circumstances were allowed in their life, it was to incubate the power that they had. It was to incubate their potential. Because if they just tapped in, they realized that it's a very fragile wall that they're facing. They could just break through.
Yeah.
And go out and accomplish it. And it just takes one step. And once you do that, you shake that negativity off. And it's not, no, I cannot be that person. That's why I feel like I'm so far, yet I understand my story and my process. I've had nights where I cried and I fought with God and I was mad. I was so levels of pissed off like crazy. Because if anybody's ever put their heart and soul into something, to see it fall apart with circumstances that are out of your control, you get pissed. All layers of depression and unacceptance, you're going to get that. Actually, I will question a journey that doesn't have that, because that is where you get made. That is where these ideas come from. That's where that passion starts developing, because then you start seeing that glimpse of light and you start believing in yourself a little bit. And you take a step. You go like, you're pissed off, you're depressed, you're sad, whatever, but you take a step. And you start getting that confidence again. And that inner dialogue starts talking to you again. And you start healing. You're healing your heart with yourself first. Because you let yourself down for letting yourself get to that dark place. You heal that first. And then you come out and you shine. And that's when you could brush off people's nonsense or their criticism. Because even the people that criticize you, they just didn't understand you. They didn't know where you're coming from. And even family members, if you feel like they abandoned you, they really didn't abandon you. What happened is they couldn't relate. They're having their own journey. And then that mercy comes out and go like, oh, it's just that they couldn't, but they love me. And so you start reconciling all those ideas and a new identity starts building up.
A mentor of mine told me a few years ago, and it made so much sense. It's basically what you're saying, but he broke it down short for me. You know, I was in like sales, marketing and stuff like that. And he was like, man, why are you getting frustrated? I see you speaking with passion and you sincere. You want to help people. You have this opportunity that can potentially change their life. They don't see it. Yeah. You got to let people be people. That's who they are. that shouldn't reflect on how you maneuver and navigate through this world.
Yeah.
You just got to let them be.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're saying. You're defining that. Like, people are people, man. And after that, it clicked for me. I no longer like have emotional attachments to certain things because it tends to drag me to wherever that situation is.
Yeah.
And I don't like that feeling.
I like that. Yeah. And the whole thing is your inner dialogue and the emotional connection of it. Because that's what's going to make you take action.
Yeah. But but not to cut you off, it's so, you said this earlier, it's so easy, like, to say that when you're not in that position, right? But for someone who really wants to get out, like, what are some steps? What are some actionable steps that can at least reframe their mind just a bit to gain that faith? Because you like you said, that's essential, right? You need that in order for you to grow and create this shield of armor so you can get through your battles and then understand it as you get through it so you could get to the next level.
Yeah. That whole reconciling yourself and getting to that place where your inner dialogue is the truth that sets you free. I think it begins with the understanding that everything I love about my life right now and everything I don't like about my life right now is of my decisions. And getting yourself there. So everything I like, everything I love, everything is wonderful in my life, and everything I hate and everything I'm bothered with is also of my decisions. So when you take control of that, then you understand that the outside experience of that, like things that are out of your control, could be moved by your mercy and your love and your contributing factors to the value that you give. And you start setting yourself up to move out. And some of the first action steps is to let your yes be yes. If you said you're going to do something, do it. If you didn't do it,
I've been screaming that since day one on this.
Yeah.
I screamed that.
If you don't do it, then repeat the action. So I take people through a 3-day transformational process. And you go, 3 days. Yeah, 3 days transformation process. Very easy. Here's what you do. You wake up every morning an hour earlier than what you need to leave, and you go for a walk. You go to bed enough time to get enough sleep. And you're conscious that you're drinking enough water. You do those 3 things. That's it. No other assignment whatsoever. So you do everything right the first day. You got enough sleep, you drank enough water, and you went for your walk. Your second day, you didn't do it. Then your third day becomes your first day. And you keep on doing that until you have 3 days consecutive. That's how you get yourself out of not having that inner confidence. You build it by those small action steps. And that's the first step. Your mind will start opening up. It will start creating new solutions. You'll be in a nice state that the next conversation I have with you, you'll be like, something happened. I really don't know what it is, but there's an energy shift because there's a confidence being built on the inside of you that wasn't there before because you missed out. You took yourself to places that you didn't have to take. So you're reconciling that. That's like your gift back to yourself.
That's so powerful.
And it's simple.
And it's simple, man. But for those struggling, that can be like so far out.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen people go through that process and they tell me, you know how hard it is to keep 3 days? Yeah, dude, I'm asking you to give yourself 3 days. 3 days.
And it sounds so simple. We're just saying, just give yourself 3 days. You know what? The time is going to go by no matter what.
Yeah.
Might as well do something that's going to improve your
But imagine doing it the first day and the second day, and then you get to the third day and you didn't do it. So now you start on day 4, day 1.
Yeah.
So yes, I understand it's a struggle, but imagine doing that for everything in your life. You know, like you started in a step and you probably skipped a day, but then you go, that wasn't me. I'm off. I have an off day. You learn how to balance your energy. I have an off. Now you realize when you have an off day because you're not hitting your standards. And then you push those standards a little higher. Can we add workout to this? Can we add eating well to this? Can we add not getting mad to this? Where does those things come from? But because you have a structure and you gave yourself that gift, you're able to internalize what that energy feels like.
You instilled your beliefs and ideologies into your kids?
Well, because I come from a very strict religious background, I'm very cautious of crossing that line, because the way that we were taught in our Hispanic community, right?
Talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Well, the way we're taught is like, this is black and white, this is the way it is. And you either have God chasing you to punish you for something, or you got the devil trying to grab you by the ankles and pull you in. So you have these forces at play when you're raised into this ideal, that it's always a place for fear. And when you use fear to teach, you're actually controlling. So I'm very cautious on not to go there. Like, don't do this. Watch out. Yeah, this is what you have to do. But I'm more of the approach of watch. And then I ask. And then I wait to be asked. Of course, as a father, you have to guide. And you have to have those kind of thoughts of like, those kind of conversations of like, hey, be careful. Or, this is the way that you do things. But those conversations are around their emotional composition. So I talk about what they feel, because ultimately what they feel is going to make them make decisions. So that's where I kind of stay in my parenting. With everything else, it's more of a value of being connected and loving on them. And knowing that they have an open door with me and they could tell me anything. My kids know that they could tell me anything. They're not going to shock me. They're not going to push me. I'm not going to blow up. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to throw things. I'm not, because I understood that they have their own journey. And I am the privileged one to have to go through that journey with them. So yeah, my teaching process is that way. Watch me.
So you lead by example.
Yeah, and that puts pressure on me. Yeah, because I want them to be great.
Yeah.
I want them to be fantastic. I want them to be better than me. And in order for them to do that, I'm gonna have to be fantastic myself. So when I think about that, that's what pushes me. I want to be able to tell my kids, look where you have access to.
Right. Yeah.
And from this point, you keep on climbing. From this point, you keep on moving up.
I say the same thing to my son. Like, I'm building all of this to build the infrastructure for what you want to do. I don't want you to get caught in the I gotta work and the whole struggle like mindset. Do everything that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Try everything.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll find that one thing that you're really good at, and you build from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Follow the leader in the sense that if we as men have our kids show and be passionate about your show. Make them thirsty. You say, can you take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, but make them thirsty. Make them want to drink.
Yeah.
How you do that? You up your game all the time. You achieve another level. Because the only thing that we can control is us. No matter how much I tell my kids, you should do it this way, you should do it that way. Or tell somebody that I love, hey, don't you realize that eating all that junk could get you sick? It doesn't matter. It's not my experience. It breaks my heart, but it's not my experience. But I can control this. Let me take it to another level. Because as me shining my light, if I get brighter, I can take you along with me.
Get some of your services. Because I'm still healing, bro. And even, I've been single for 4 years, and it's been the greatest. I've been learning.
So DM, because you've been single.
Huh?
You've been single, so yeah.
No. I haven't.
No.
I believe in like having a monogamous lifestyle.
Absolutely.
I do.
I met my wife online. I told you about that.
Yeah.
I met my wife online.
That is dope, man. See, that's why I see the power of the internet, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was progress. It's progress. It's just that there's collateral damage in progress. There is.
I think that's with anything.
Yeah. You move anything along, and along the way, before we can make sense on how these tools are actually used, there is some pain along the way. There's some hurt along the way. And I don't think that we socially know the impact yet. We don't, because, that generation still is in in the
Everything's still new,
process.
even with like the whole
yeah.
social media stuff like
So
that.
we probably
and it
gonna
keeps shifting, bro, shifting.
So we probably gonna have a conversation not too far into the future as a society, is like how we fix the new issues, the new nervous system issues, the new neurotic issues, the new brain issues, because they most likely they will be. You know, I mean, I'm just thinking from a logic point of view.
No, that's a fact. Even right now,
know?
like there's scientific proof that like social media and stuff like that triggers the dopamine, which is just like if you do drugs. It's this
Yeah.
chemical that releases and you become addicted to being on your phone. And that's what they do with processed foods and everything that you're being given. So you're
Yeah.
constantly being high, and then that's when anxiety and
Yeah.
it's such a loophole, bro. It's such a
Yeah, I remember hearing of they gave this child a magazine. I don't remember the age now, but they were still infant, maybe like in their second year, 3 years old, and the child started like started just like moving their finger on the cover.
oh
Because they were so they were so used to the touch screen technology that, I mean, comes to figure, I mean, what are we losing? What are we gaining? And is anybody having those conversations? I'm pretty sure there's people right now being the light in that world and coming up with solutions, and abundance is trying to come out. So because that's how the progress works. Progress works that we have a line of progress. That progress creates new problems, new solutions get applied, new progress gets made, new problems come up.
Cycles.
And it cycles, and then you and I are part of that. That's why when you even listen to personal development, a lot of the conversation is almost the same. Very rarely you find that there's nuances within a certain conversation, is because that person has tapped into adding to the conversation, not just repeating it.
Right. And oftentimes it's a cycle. Everybody. That's why I find it like weird. Like I was speaking about the coaching and all of that, because everybody's stealing. Even with business marketers, they stealing from each other. They're building these systems and just copying and pasting. You don't work like that.
No, that's why it takes longer.
Yeah.
It takes longer. And I feel when you start hitting those levels, people will probably consider you the higher end of stuff. And it's not really higher end of stuff. It's just that there is exclusivity in that line, because not everybody could get it.
It's not available for everybody.
Yeah. And it's because there's layers. So I believe everything could coexist. So there's a coach that will take you to level 1. And that was a breakthrough, man. That's an amazing breakthrough. You're not who you used to be. Thank God for that person going through that process. And maybe that's kind of like a basic breakthrough. But then you have a coach that could take you to a higher level. And that's how that industry should be seen.
I love that, man. It's you're basically saying there's levels to this shit.
Absolutely, there's levels to it.
And you're so deep in it. You invested a lot of time and money into personal development to get to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been studying since I was 16, like 15, 16 years old. Yeah. I remember going to the library and getting audiobooks and listening to audiobooks because I couldn't read them. So so I sat there, and then when I finally got a computer, a PC tower, and put it in there and burned the CD and keep them for myself. Sorry, public library system. And but being intrigued about the new possibilities, that was all for me. There is another way. There's always another way. There's always another way. It just can't be just one way.
Right, yeah. So let me ask you a question on that. Can I be in the personal development space, like just trying to get better, but also have like the street mentality? Can I be like the hood preacher? Can that coexist? Can I use the strategies that, and I'm not speaking for me, I'm just speaking in general. Yeah. Can I use some of the practice that I've seen maybe on the street and put them to where people that still living in that space can understand what personal development is? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there's an application for that. But again, it's about levels. And I think there's a great application for that. But again, the effective coach is the one that says, I see this potential in you. You have a need. What is it? What is the result that you want? And then being your coach in order to get there. That's it. So taking you from point A to point B and giving you a result, a tangible result, something that you could go, yes, I lost weight by joining this club and this was my coach. Or yes, I made more money by joining this coach program. And yes, I feel more emotionally stable because I worked with this coach. That. So there always has to be aligned to where you're going. And a coach is someone that has to know and navigate that. But of course, it has an application. And that's why I think that within coaching, a lot of the things that exist right now that you might go like, oh, wait a minute, everybody's a coach and everybody's doing their thing. Well, those who are not it will die off. You know, those who are not authentic, they will die off. It's going to be struggle for them. It's going to be very hard for them. But can they be like the coach from the hood? Absolutely. Because that coach has a passion for that. But they have to develop themselves through a place where they see point A and point B and say, I could take these kids there, or I could take these men there, or I could take women there, or I could, you know, and really specifically deal with those issues, of course.
Right. Yeah. The reason I asked that, because personal development can be boring. Like, people want to see entertainment. People want to see drama.
Yeah.
They want to see the media.
Well, I mean, for me, it's fun.
Yeah, for me, it's fascinating. That's why I talk about it.
It's fun. It's fun because, and that, I guess that's also why I deal in the energy part of it. And some people might consider me like, you know, foo-foo or spiritual or new age or whatever the label they want to put me.
Right.
But in reality, it's just that I'm coming in from an angle that made sense to me. You know, if I could control my emotional process, then I'm aware of my decisions. And my decisions are the ones that make progress. So that's very simple for me. But when I have somebody get it, my world lights up. And that's why I get passionate about it. So it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Can it be entertainment? I absolutely feel that we could. And I think that's the reason why people watch reality shows. You know, because they're seeing somebody else's drama and they go like, hey, at least my life is not that messed up.
Right, exactly. They are often compared.
Or by watching somebody else, they go like, oh, that didn't look right. Do I look like that? And then do something about it. Or they can analyze everybody they see on the screen and they go like, well, that was stupid. You know, like I never would have done that. Yeah, it's easy because you're not living that life. Yeah. So I think reality programs have really given us an insight on the psychology of how we manage our emotions, and I enjoy them. There's a few of them out there that I'm okay with.
Like what? Like what?
I like competition shows. So I like The Survivor. That's a very mentally challenged program. I also like.
Would you do some?
I would definitely do Survivor. And if you do Survivor 2, I'll go on your season.
I would. I want to go. I want to go to a retreat. Like, I've been thinking about that lately, like going to a different country and taking a week and just going to like a spiritual cleanse or a spiritual awakening just to see. And that may be awkward coming from where I come from. I come from the hood, bro.
Yeah.
We don't believe in that.
Let's make one in El Barrio, dude. Let's go to New York and let's do a spiritual retreat out there.
That'll be dope. That'll be dope.
Yeah. So I enjoy also like the cooking competitions, everything that Gordon Ramsay has done. I really enjoy. I enjoy it.
Do you like his approach?
I like his approach. I liked it from the very beginning that I saw Hell's Kitchen, and all my kids watch it because of me. Yeah, because I saw the psychological angle of it, and that's what entrapped me. You know, at the beginning, it wasn't more about the transformation. It was like the person's transformation. That was way more. Yeah,
like he beats people's heads. Like he makes them great. Right?
Well, this is the thing. If you don't know how an actual kitchen works, like a real professional kitchen, that's culture. And because I was exposed to that at a very early age, I worked. Look, a very interesting fact. I had an internship at Windows on the World, the top floor of the Twin Towers. Yeah. So I had an internship there for about 6 months where I learned the ins and outs of the kitchen. I was actually doing a vocational program for restaurant and hotel management. And I ended up there out of all places. All right. So the chef there had a very particular talent to put people in a state. And he's like a conductor. And if he's not in that position, then everything falls apart. So when you have somebody in the scale of Ramsey, and he's here yelling and screaming and cursing out, that's culture. And people on the outside won't understand it. They're like, oh man, this guy's mean. No, it's culture within the kitchen. So he's speaking their language. He's speaking their the way of being. So I knew that going in. So that's why. But yeah, I've seen the show with people going like, wow, he's mean. Well, I mean, you don't understand the coach. He's trying to bring out the best in you.
Right. So before you go, he's a coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you coach like that?
Absolutely, I could. And I have, actually, because it all depends on the personality of the person.
I think that's my personality. I'm very direct.
Yeah.
And people, and I never try to offend people. That's never my intent. But I'm very direct. Everything is written in black and white. It's either this or that. There's nothing in between.
Yeah.
That's the bullshit you tell yourself all the time. And I've always been direct, and people are sensitive.
Well, you have to be careful on how you do it. So I did NLP for a while, and I got I got introduced to this by Anthony Robbins, and then I did other courses on my own to understand it. And this is the programming of how your brain works. So on this, there is a section of it that talks about mirroring. So it's like if I sit the way that you're sitting and we're having a conversation, I could start understanding if you're understanding me, if I change my position and you change your position as well, because we're mirroring each other. And that's a way of guiding energy. So that's one way of like a level surface rapport that you could get with people.
It's finding the cues.
Yeah. Going deeper into that approach, you could also mirror their emotion and you could also mirror their response. So if I'm coaching somebody whose energy is really low, and this is where they actually activate their best in, then I'm always going to go into their energy. But if I have somebody that is like always like cursing and moving around and everything, when I have them by myself, absolutely I enter their world. And I will
You're a chameleon.
Yeah, I will enter, and I will have to, because in order for me to serve them correctly, I will have to enter their world and speak their language. And I do it from a place of love. I do it from a place of like, it's not that I'm here trying to pull your ear and curse you out and giving you a taste of your own medicine. It's like saying, I'm approaching it by saying it, I got you, man. I understand you. If nobody else on this earth, on this planet, as it goes around, understands you, I'm going to understand. And I'm going to try my hardest to understand you. I'm going to enter your world. I'm going to speak your language. And we're going to find the solution for this. So yeah, I will have that approach.
Yeah, I have to be more light and more cautious.
No, but you could dedicate yourself to people that are rough and they need it. That's yeah, you know,
I like that.
I mean,
Is Ocala a good place for that?
I don't know. I mean, are you talking about like carrying bats and guns, or I mean,
no?
Hey, fix your life or I'll break your kneecaps. I don't know. What are you talking about? Like, how
the rough, gritty, raw.
Dude, man, I'll sign up to that program. I'll change like this, man. You show up like that? Dude, I'm okay, man. I'm okay. I'll do the Instagram, dude. I will upload the picture.
Oh yeah, I've been talking about. I've been on his ass about using social media, man. A lot of people I meet here are not using social media.
Dude, you show up to my house like that with bats and guns and stuff like that. So
so what I'm telling you is like, bro, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. That's I'm very direct. I don't try to make this fluff because that's already there.
I come from a place where I appreciate that energy, and I appreciate you coming into my life and saying, all right, Johnny, you need to be on social media. You need to be more aggressive on this, because I see that the last post is that very far away and you're not on top of this the way that you're supposed to be. I appreciate that. And I thank you for it. The place where I would need you to be is the understanding on why doesn't Johnny do this? So if it's not time or money or energy or anything, what is stopping him? And asking the questions until you get to the place. Because it might not be that Johnny doesn't want to do it. I don't want to listen to you. I don't have no value. There's no value in it for me. I could probably see all of that, but there's other things calling my attention. There's other moving pieces in my life. There's other things that are moving around. And that's where I become very sensitive on. Because if I'm coaching somebody and I go like, why this person doesn't get it, man? It's just so obvious. I'm not an effective coach.
Right.
I'm not an effective coach. They should go and get somebody else.
Yeah, see, but I'm this way. Exactly what you're saying. I understand all those things, but the way I would approach it is like, take out your phone. Let's see how much time on your phone you're using. If you could take 1 minute.
Yeah.
Can you go to the bathroom? You could take 1 minute to go to the bathroom. It's the same exact thing. See, I just want to take out the fluff that people
Absolutely. And I'm glad where you're going. Let's have this conversation. Dude, you have a great approach to it. It's wonderful. Now, how does that translate in somebody else that is not you?
Exactly. That's why I have you here. Hello.
Okay. How does that translate into somebody that's not you? Because in your world, you have been able to captivate what that looks like. But because my patterns of life have not taken me to a place where that might not seem as natural, it's like, how can you make that natural to me? Tell me, Jay, how can that become natural to me? And that when you get to do that for somebody, that's when you become effective. Because then you're like, oh man, I wasn't doing this before, but I don't know how Jay got me to do it, but he got me to do it because I won't even get it. I won't even know. I wouldn't even know what you did with me because you were able to see that lack, that piece that didn't connect right with me. And now it's natural to me. And now I'm like on there every day. And that's the approach of coaching on everything in life, on everything. Like, how come it's not natural for you? Like, I have coached kids that mistreat their moms.
I beat their ass.
If it was me, I would be on the floor with broken arms and all bent out of shape because my dad would not be having that.
Yeah.
All right?
Likewise.
All right? So, all right. I have asked this question before. You think it's right to talk to your mom like that? And I have received, yeah. I go like, what? Wait a minute. Is it natural?
That's who they are.
So when you go into the natural part of it, then you start realizing they're not connected to what's natural. Because it's not natural for you to treat your mom like dirt.
No.
Like dirt. It's not humanly natural. Not in our, but something inside of you tells you that that's okay. So is it okay because, and this is where we get really deep, is it okay because you feel like mom's the only one that understands you and she can handle it? And you get healing from the fact that you could express yourself to your mom, but mom doesn't get it. And that's when you start getting healing. Because, all right, mom, that's why he's acting up. Because you're his freedom. You're his light. You're his everything. Because usually the people that get the short end of the stick in relationships are the people that are loved the most.
That explains my life.
So
you ever heard of this term, treat people how you want to be treated?
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit. Because I want to be treated direct. I want you to tell me if I'm slacking, I'm not being a man of my word, because I take that so serious.
Yeah, but let's talk about accountability yet. Then does accountability work?
I think it's so essential to doing anything in life, right? You want to go to the gym, you have to hold yourself accountable.
But let's say we have an accountability partnership.
Okay.
And you have me on Instagram, and you're holding me accountable on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
What's a really value proposition for me to hold face with you?
See, that's what I'm trying to get you to see, the bigger picture. It's what you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. It's having connections here, privately, which is essential. But the things, the knowledge, the wisdom, the experience you have can transcend to masses, right? It's just doing what you're doing right now, but on a global scale.
Yeah.
Right. It's taking what you know and giving people that influence that, you can be better. You have to seek within. You have to grow and get into like personal development. Mm-hmm. You can coach more people. It's so many benefits that's going to benefit you. Right. Because what is it doing for me. Me telling you go get on social media.
Exactly.
I'm not getting anything out of that. But I see the potential. I see how much you can be an honor to people, to just be able to have these conversations like this, because I know what it does for me.
Yeah. Well, you're coaching me right now.
Okay.
Because I get to ask the question, you know.
How much should I charge?
No, but I get to ask the question that you should be asking me. Okay. So I hear you. And you just elevated the value for me. You did. It's a matter of now you asking the question, is it enough for you to have podcasting? Does that fulfill you enough? What is it? Is it the video aspect of it? And then we enter into new conversation where this, oh, dude, you know, tell you the truth, I got everything. I got equipment. I got cameras. I got everything. What I really don't have is the ability to schedule it in a way where I could just sit down and do it and have somebody else manage it, because I am so all over the place right now. Or Jay, is it possible? Get me to a place to ask, you know, is it possible that I could do this, like, you know, a couple of times a month, sit down and create a whole bunch of content and then let it run, so it gives me the to create? Because when I'm dealing with other people's lives and when I'm helping them, it's taxing.
But yeah, that's another conversation that I wanted to get in about, like, energy. You constantly transferring energy to other people.
Yeah.
How do you preserve your own energy? Because I'm at a point in my life is where I've always been an outlet and been able to connect the dots for the people around me, right? And people's, you know, look for me for guidance and stuff like that, which I appreciate, you know, But I'm at a place in my life right now where I don't allow people to vent because it takes away from me. Bro, it's like after that, I need to go cleanse myself.
I need a shower, a coffee.
It is.
Yeah, I get you. Well, if I have a coaching session and I really help somebody out, I'm wired. Like, I have energy after I do that. Like, who's next? You know, like, I'm wired. Like, who's next? I guess that what really generates my energy is generosity. And we talked about a little bit about that, is being generous. Generosity is a generator. So when you show up willing to give the best part of you, even if that person doesn't receive it, you are at your ultimate power sourcing. You're like, and what comes out, instead of frustration, what comes out is mercy. Because you're just generating. And what you generate with generosity is first love, and then all the rest of the abundance attributes. But you're just generating. I'm here with Jay. I'm here with Jay completely. Yeah, and I just want to give him love. I want him to grow. I want him to, like, I want you to be bigger than anything that you could ever think of. And that's honest, and that's good, and that's pure. So when I leave this conversation, my family better watch out, because I'm wired, man. I'm wired. So let's say that it's a conversation that is not that great. And we bump into those, you know, people in our lives, you know, like, we can't get rid of our family, dude.
We can't choose our family.
We can't choose our family. So I enter into their world. I do.
You got to teach me that. Because
look, dude, I have conspiracy theorists, heavy in politics, heavy into religion, and they all want to have those conversations with me. I enter into their world. My kids think I'm crazy. Sometimes they could see me having a political conversation with somebody. Like, I really am into it. But what I'm really I'm really into the person. And for me, it's like, dude, they might not have an outlet. That's the reason why they have that thought. That's the reason why they're frustrated. That's the reason why they have that theory in their head. If maybe they could talk it out, they could hear themselves. Instead of, like, saying, hey, no, don't come to me with your nonsense. It's like,
nah, I would never do that.
Hey, what's up? Talk to me. Yeah, all of it, all the craziness. Just let it out, because it's not hitting me. It's going straight through me, because all I'm really my power source is more energetic than yours. So even though I stay still and I'm calm and I talk in a different tone of voice, what's really pouring out is like, dude, you know, I get your point. I could appreciate it. And actually, sometimes I've even been excited in some of those conversations, because, like, I can't believe you think that way. I get fascinated that you actually think that the earth is like that or like this or like that or like that's fascinating for me because because those arguments for me are part of a overall conversation that becomes interesting if you could get to the point of like, I can't believe that you actually, that's your point of view and this is my point of view and here we are. Let's enjoy this.
Yeah.
Let me enjoy that. So I've been in the presence of a lot of toxic people.
Sheesh. No, but so let me elaborate on that.
And
I'm okay with speaking to people that have like mediocre mindsets.
But remember what
stuff like that.
What toxic is, according to our conversation, is stuck within an expired past. It's an expired present. So that's what toxic is. So when you're there, you're just like there in somebody's continuous state. It's the continuous state. They haven't been pulled. The thing is, the sad thing,
that right there, that pull, that movement you made is, I guess, what's been challenging for me to pull people on the opposite side of that expiration date.
But this is
you ever heard? Wait. You ever heard of the term asshole?
No.
Asshole. A person who asks for advice and never takes it.
I like that. I should start using that. But I refrain from advice. Because advice is advice. Advice, which actually means that if you ask me for advice, then what you're telling me is, what would you do if you were me? Right? That's what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And that would be great if I'm coming from a point of view where you are putting me in a position that I have accomplished some things that you want to accomplish. So along those lines, that conversation is perfect, right? But mind you, it's also going to come with my fear.
Right. You're going to project.
It's also going to come with my fear. If I was you, I will be careful with XYZ and I will do ABC. So it comes with my fear. And maybe that's not your journey. Maybe that's not your fear. Maybe you could take a bigger risk. So I try to stay away from advice. That's why coaching is not advice. It's not really advice oriented. Coaching is guidance.
That's the disclaimer right now that we put in now.
Yeah.
This is not advice.
This is not advice. This is not advice. This is guidance. Mm-hmm. And guidance from the point of view of someone that can see on the outside and says, you took that turn and I saw you wobble. You kind of question yourself. You didn't have confidence. And that's why you teeter-totter. You don't know if you want her or her. That or this. You don't know what you want because there was no confidence. Let's talk internally. How's that conversation happening? So when you hit the field again, you make a better choice. Going back to treat others like the way that you want to be treated. Well, when you come from a place of abundance, you want everybody to treat you the way that you get treated. So,
yeah, but that's the new world that we live in.
Yeah,
everything's advanced, and the sensitivity towards people, it's you kind of have to cater.
Sensibility is crazy right now. Like it's like equal rights. I mean, you want your show to be cut off? Should we talk about that? Because the thing is that you know what's crazy.
We're gonna speak on that.
I think the conversation that could break through if enough people jump on it is, instead of the equality thing and the,
or you don't believe in it,
the equal rights. No, I'm not saying that. No, I believe in that completely, but I believe it in the scale of humans. We all have that same opportunity. We all exist because we have a divine gift. That's amazing. It should be celebrated and should be respected in every single way. That conversation could be had, right? But when you start getting into the details on how is respected more than others, or the color or the race or the gender, I think that the returning factors to the basics and go like, well, diversity is what made us great. So we like splitting the line very thinly between, I want to be equal, but I want to be me. And I don't know. I look at my wife and I go like, she's amazing. She's a woman. She could bring life. She's different. She's awesome. She's not me. Now, I agree that we should have the same rights to speak, to say what we want, but that's not the factor of what makes us equal and what also makes us diverse. That's not the factor. The fact that I could get on a mic and say whatever the heck I want and disrespect whoever I want and say whatever, it's on my mind. I'm glad that I have that right, and I'm glad that everybody has that right to do it. But the fact that I could control that right and that I could make the conversation bring value, that's when I know that I have integrity with who I am as a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm okay like sitting around someone who, like our friend Joyvan, for instance, he's suffered racism. You as well. You have told me a couple, and that breaks my heart because nobody should go through an experience like that. Nobody should be qualified as different just because of the color of their skin or their gender. Period. But it's the human. You know, it's the human value. We're not having that conversation. We're having because you disrespect me because I'm this color, or because I'm this nationality, or because I'm this gender. But ain't we humans? You know, like
so many times, bro. I've said this.
No, it's just that. Can we just keep it there? Just the civil of being like, there goes another life. You know?
Yeah.
The chances of me being me are so slim, and yet I am, right? I could have been the next guy, or I could have been the next girl.
You could have been a dog. You could have been a roach.
Well, who knows? Who knows how that works? But yeah. I mean, probably. But we don't keep the conversation there. We want to go so deep, and then bring up like, well, this happened in the past, and this happened in the past, and this happened in the past, and how can we? And again, we deal with that toxin because that expired. That problem had to be fixed back then, and no matter what we do right now, it will never be fixed. So moving forward, we can't wish for something to happen. We can't hope something is going to change.
Opening another can.
We need to change it here.
Yeah, that's another deep conversation.
We gotta change it here.
Yeah.
Is my wife and I different? Yeah. Dude, she could bring life. I can't.
Yeah.
Let's keep it that simple. You know? Not that I could pick up more weight than her. Not that I'm gonna be better at a job. Or that I could earn more money because I'm a man. Whatever that conversation is the appreciation at the human level first, at the gift of diversity first, at the perspective and the traditions and the length of what that value is, and the fact that if you come from a line of like your culture suffers slavery, you have a lot to offer. I want you at the table. But they don't feel accepted, and that breaks my heart. You know?
Yeah, that's another whole different topic. I could get into super deep. It's gonna take another hour, 2 hours to get into that conversation.
Yeah. But it's the pride.
I was gonna say that.
It's the pride. It's the ego. And that's what starts in the selfishness. That's what starts dividing wisdom. It's all about dealing with people. Wisdom has nothing to do with intellectual knowledge at all. Zero. So when people say you're wise, and they're probably talking about you're book smart or because you know how to talk or whatever it is, wisdom is how to deal with people. Period. The interaction of how you communicate. And if we take our conversation socially and globally to that direction, I think that's the conversation that will break through. But a lot of people have to trend it. We have to trend that conversation. Human first. Dude, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing that we have life. And nothing else matters. Because then it's like, it balances out. Well, why women make less than men? Why?
Those are important conversations though, right? I would think, and then everything you're saying goes back to like power, greed, money.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's
the system, and that goes back to the system. But when you stand outside the system and understand you understand you first, then you're able to affect the system. You're able to navigate it in a way that the negativity doesn't affect you, but you become the light that actually generates it and propels it forward. And that's what I'm passionate about.
I see. You went super deep.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nah. That's good, man.
I'm sorry,
That's
guys.
good, man.
I'm sorry.
Everything that you're saying is so amazing. I'm so thankful that I went into that room and got to meet someone like you. Went in, within, and it's rising people, motivating them, inspiring them. Not only preaching to them, but you speaking into them. And I think that is amazing, and that's something in a weird way that I've been craving, to be able to have these connections and exchange ideas.
Well, I mean, likewise, then I have to thank you as well, because without you in the room, I couldn't express. Without you being here right now, I couldn't be me. I'll be sitting by myself. No, and that might look like a picture, like you could intellectually have that imagination, but I become the better part of myself when I have someone that is willing to receive it. And you're going to find that too. And that's what's going to light you up. What's going to light you up is when the best of you could come out and somebody could grab it and you're like, oh man, that's like, that's when we all collectively fly.
Yeah.
And we get to say, okay, life is not what we thought it is. It's actually much better. And everything starts falling into a place. It makes challenges a different level. It's a different level of challenge. It's not paying the bill challenge. It's not making ends meet or getting someone to love me challenge. It gets to the point of just a better me. What would it take if this is me now and I like me? Dude, what would happen if I give more to that? If I could invest more in that, if I could build my confidence, my inner work, if I could recover my natural abilities that activate abundance, what would that look like? That's what gets me excited. So when I sit with someone like you and you're like bringing in it, the more flows, because I'm a generator, man. I'm a generator. My wife says I have to be careful because sometimes I flow in a dynamic that is too fast. So if you hear me slowing down my voice, it's because I'm catching myself. And she's like, I see smoke coming out their ears, man. Like, just like chill, though.
No,
don't give them
I
everything.
speak in the same language that you speak, and that's why maybe to me it's so captivating, because that's how I listen and digest information, the way you speak.
But I think we both come from similar backgrounds when it comes to faith and tradition, and I guess that when we find each other, it's like,
yeah, exactly.
I get it, yeah, and my mom.
And being that I've been seeking that for quite some time since I moved over here.
Ditto, absolutely. I don't have much friends that I could say, oh, that guy gets me, oh, that girl gets me. You don't have that. And when you finally find it, you go like, yeah, it feels like I've arrived somewhere. There's some validation as well, and you're gonna find that too. That when you like-minded people, you feel like, oh, well, you get a little extra strength because you're like, I'm not the only crazy one.
No, that's a fact.
I'm not the only crazy one that started a business out of my garage or I'm not the only crazy one that thinks that, everything could be possible or it could be accomplished. Yeah. So it's good company.
Yeah, it is. It's been a while since I had like conversations and connections like that. And that is crazy how everything. I went home and I was just blown. Like, who the F is this guy?
Yeah.
It's crazy because I think like that. And I'm constantly thinking about the future, man. And I really want to do some major things, impact people and put people on this pedestal of personal development and whatever that may mean to you, right? Because that can be subjective, right? My personal development. I'm an athlete. I'm personally developing.
Yeah, exactly. I once heard a comedian say, we are all bodybuilders. We're just building different bodies.
Exactly. That's a fact, though. That's a fact.
Yeah. So in personal development, we're all in personal development. There's no way out of it. It's just a matter of the approach. Are you intentionally developing yourself? You know, are you choosing your transformation, or your transformations are chosen for you? And that's
chosen.
yeah, because that's what problems are. That's what problems are. When we say I have a problem, is that your transformation was chosen for you because you stood too long in that one spot. You didn't transform on your own when you knew you should have. When you knew you should have stopped doing what you were doing or advancing at what you were doing, one of those two, and you got called out. You know, abundance kicked you in the ass. You got called out, and now you have a problem. It's really not a problem. It's an opportunity. It's a new experience. It's a way out. And if you choose to stay the way you are, that's the length of your experience on personal development. But when you grab it on and you go like, I'm going to fix this, you're going to find out that you have grown. You're the one who grows in adversity. You're the one who pushes forward and finds out more about yourself. So accept the challenge.
And I want everybody. I wish I could just snap my fingers and people can receive, like literally receive that internally and understand the benefit of that. Just seeking within and creating small changes that can help your life pivot and just move in a direction you want it to move instead of just going with the flow.
Yeah. I love what you're doing on defining moments. I like that.
Yeah, man.
like
Thank
that.
you. I appreciate it. I think even on the business aspect of things, you know, facts tell, stories sell. Like that's really, really important. And that's like some of the things I was trying to tell you on Instagram. It's like, your story, what you have going on, all this knowledge, all this experience. Don't be greedy with that. Share it with the world.
No, absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying?
No, I tell my kids I'm gonna be squeezed as a sponge here on earth.
Yeah.
I want to leave everything here.
You're being around me. I'm gonna squeeze.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead. I'm all for it.
I want it all.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And some of the projects that I'm taking on now has to do with that. I want to push my limits a little further. I want to reach more people. I want to leave more impact. And you know, the conversation we were having about people chasing the dollar at the expense of coaching. I just want to provide something that actually does match the value that is promised. You know, and that's why sometimes I take my time to edit and run and edit because I want these things to be so concentrated on the experience that I'm having that when you do taste it, you could feel it too. You know, you can have it too. So yeah, I'm working on those courses and
let's talk about it because it's almost time for us to tap off.
All right.
So what do you have going on? What should people know? You have the courses.
Yeah.
Right? Talk a little bit about that. So what is that pertaining to?
So I'm working right now on a it's soon to be released, just a couple more weeks, and it's a mindset course. It's called New Possibilities, and it takes you through a process where you understand. The bottom line is abundance and how to live that life of peace and joy and happiness. But most of all, touching on your pain points. If you ever been a person that you started something and you didn't finish it, or you feel like you pushed through and just it wasn't for you, but you feel like there is something for you, then this course is approaching that issue. And it's saying there's something blocking. There's something that you don't understand about abundance that's trying to come out of you. There's a heart in you to do something. Maybe you're the kind of person that cut out the pictures and you put them on the walls, you know, and you said, I have this vision for my life. Maybe you're the kind of person to sign up for seminars and kind of maybe even pay for some coaching and it didn't really pan out. There's something else. So this takes you through that. And it's a 5-module course and it takes you step by step on understanding that process. And at the release, I'm actually going to be one-on-one coaching the ones that they do join. So that's going to be very small group, and so it's kind of like the beta of everything else that we're going to be releasing after that, and pinpointing certain things, you know, like dealing with relationships or dealing with elderly parents and how you gonna have to go through that eventually, and so they're gonna be very diverse. But this is like the ground, like this is like the main piece of it. And everything just strand from that. And then I have the podcast too, where this is what I do. I'm just a solo podcaster for now. I do intend to get on video and have more conversations and have guests on. I used to do that a while back, but I want to get back into that.
What's the name of the podcast?
Without Limits in English and Sin Límites en Español, in Spanish. So another thing for the audience to know, that my biggest passion is the Latin community. So if you want to say that I'm niche on anything, I'm niche on that. More because I feel is underserved, knowing what I know and knowing the fact that also the community needed to transition somehow. I'm right there, like with them. I feel their heart, and I think serving them with these kind of conversations will help them. Will help them bring a new perspective, a new possibility for them. So that's what I'm passionate about. And you can find all of this on johnnydelvalle.com. And we have a nonprofit as well that helps out. Right now, we're looking at. We have a mission that we sponsor out in Honduras with kids, and my uncle runs that one, so we sponsor that. And then we also
what's the name of that?
Well, it's through us. It's Life Design. Life Design is our nonprofit. So everything that has to do with the whole system is under nonprofit. So and Life Design, and we're very heavily on the kids. I feel like I dodged a bullet in life. And my mom passed away, and I could have been easily part of a foster care program. And when I heard that when a child turns 18, they no longer could participate in the program, and they kind of like left on their own, that was devastating for me. And I'm like, something has to be done. So I'm finding out the movers and shakers here in town that actually deal with those situations, and we want to back them up. So children. Helping Children is one of those organizations that we're looking at right now. And I encourage anybody who listens to this that if they want to participate in that, to look up Children's Helping Children in Ocala. They're doing an awesome job. And they're only just a handful of adults. The rest is done by kids. And it's an amazing organization. And that's one of the problems they're dealing with. We don't want these kids homeless. We want these kids to have an opportunity.
I think I heard. I think she did a presentation a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm very, very passionate about that. I want to be more involved.
Where can people find you on social media?
So I am Johnny Del Valle on Facebook, and the number one Johnny Del Valle on Instagram. Which I have an Instagram coach that's about to.
We're gonna get super active on that. We're gonna change
next level.
Yeah, and you're gonna see how you can, have these conversations digitally.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity today. Thank you so much. One more thing, I'm glad that my daughter's here. I think this is the first time she actually sees me. This is the first time you see me getting interviewed, right? Yeah, so I'm so excited that she's here. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. Fascinating, man. I want nothing but the best for you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It moves me to know that you will get there, and that I would, and that I will get to see that.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
I appreciate it. I definitely. This is just the beginning. I think for both, even in all the spaces you in, we're gonna shoot to the moon and take a whole lot of people.
Let's take everybody with us.
Yeah,
guys, let's jump on board. Life is much better on this end. It's like a natural high that you always like, oh my God, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it just makes life great. And when you do get challenges, you get it. There's a part of me that gets exciting. There is. And it wasn't like that before. I had to fight through that because it sucks. You're going, you have momentum, you get stopped, something gets in your way. And I think that's the reason why we could relate, because I take myself to those parts in those days that you probably felt the least of you. And then I see you now, and it makes me so happy. And I go like, damn, he got it.
Yeah.
Like he got it. And that feeling I want to have every time I look in everybody's eyes. I want to have that. I want to have that. Damn, you made it. I'm sorry. You made it work.
Wow.
You made it work.
There's always a message in the mess and the madness. And if you could see that message, it can pull you into the right direction.
Absolutely. And I guess the reason why I get so emotional like that is because I know that everybody has access to it. And when they can't, it breaks me. Everybody has access to it, bro.
Everybody.
Everybody could be happy and full of joy and in abundance and with no worries and with everything they ever wanted. And I'm not trying to pitch a challenge-free life. It's the opposite. A challenge-full life that leads you from glory to glory, that leads you from one journey to another with no destination. No destination. It's just a process of growth and growth and growth and growth and growth and growth. And when you see it and you become a part of it, you see the nature of abundance. It's amazing. It's amazing. Because it's not going to stop. It's going to be here after you and I are gone. It's going to be here. It's going to still do its job. But if you get to live in it now, you notice it's not stopping.
Yeah. I want to live till I'm 150.
Well, let's see. If you find the secret before me, let's make it happen.
AI, with all the technology. That's another conversation, man. So
I want to freeze my DNA already. Like I'm like, yeah. Okay, can you guys fix me from this?
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Yeah. So we're gonna tap out, man. Thank you guys for watching and listening, man. It's been a pleasure and honor. I live for the moments like this when I can hang with somebody and exchange ideas and feed off that energy. You can tell how passionate you are, bro. It's insane and it's very rare, man. You an ace. Definitely an ace, bro.
Thank you.
So I appreciate it, man. Keep inspiring, keep pushing that envelope so people can improve, man, because I think that's important. People reach their full potential. And just keep learning, man. So thank you guys. We out of here. Peace.
See you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.